Okay, go ahead and clap. Do it one more time. There you are. Okay. Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, and today we're going to be talking about Ethermon. So, yeah,
it's about
dude.
time, dude. Finally.
So there's a lot to discuss. So first of all, if you're new to Ethermon or you're new to the Block Runner, we've been working with Ethermon since what is it, 2020? Since summer 2020.
About a year ago, yeah.
And so we got together, Ethermon and all of us got together because of MetaZone. And MetaZone creates these NFTs, or what will be NFTs, that are deployable in Decentraland. And so what MetaZone focuses on is making content that is not only easily deployable, but also content that generates revenue for the landowner. So these are these are relatively new kinds of NFTs. We don't see revenue generating NFTs pretty often in the space. And so through Ethermon, we're pioneering this new idea of NFTs, these functional NFTs, as opposed to just generic NFTs that you would find in OpenSea and Rarible, where they're just essentially GIFs. So that's how we got together. We've been working for a long time together, basically having meetings every week and now pretty much daily. And so now that we're officially kind of working with Ethermon on this whole push and this whole token generation event, we kind of wanted to kind of show what the community is going to get into as they jump into the game. And so,
yeah, I can imagine most people joining, especially you guys in the Telegram. Welcome to Ethermon, first of all. But most of y'all probably never even heard of Decentraland.
Yeah.
And I don't blame you. Decentraland is probably one of the kookiest concepts in crypto as far as like creating a virtual reality space that's governed by its users. All the assets within it are user owned. You know, they're all NFTs. The cryptocurrencies itself that we're transacting with, they're blockchain assets. You know, this is a whole new concept, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why we're so invested and like interested in the future success of Ethermon is because we think Ethermon is one of maybe a handful of projects trying to figure how to utilize this whole new gaming space correctly. You know, it's a difficult realm to develop in, because it's a whole new spectrum of like problems if you're a game developer, right? It's not like a typical game you would build. There's there's different elements to it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because imagine if you're a game developer in the traditional space, you make your game, you have people download it, they play it for like a year, and if it's really good, they play it for 5 years, right? Like something like Counter-Strike or Halo or Call of Duty, right? But in the blockchain space, when you make a game, you typically make a game with assets that are tradable, right, on OpenSea or on these different marketplaces. And so when you make a game with tradable assets, you're officially making assets that have like a long-term life to it. And so as a game developer, you have to think through is like, how do I make a game that is persistent and is not based on like this time element where a game that expires in the sense of a gameplay expires, or a world that expires, right? When you have an Xbox 360 and you go to the Xbox One, right? Your games in the previous model expire, right? And then you just kind of move on. But in a place like Decentraland, there is no expiration date. Decentraland could literally outlive us, right? Just like Bitcoin will outlive us.
Yeah.
And so as a game developer, if you're going to make a game on Decentraland, you got to make a game that has a long life, right? Ethermons, for example, right? You can create new Ethermons, you can battle them, you can level them up, you can transform them, all these things that fits the world of Decentraland. And so now with both Ethermon and MetaZone, and by the way, we started MetaZone we started building it in 2019 once we first learned about Decentraland, and then we launched with Decentraland on February 2020. And once Ethermon kind of learned the whole concept of franchising and deploying this NFT content within Decentraland, I mean, they jumped on board, and ever since then, it's like building a game that fits within Decentraland has been kind of a unique experience.
Hmm.
So right now, I think Iman's walking around the district that Ethermon has acquired, and this district is about 668 parcels big, and that's roughly worth $6 million plus or minus, a couple hundred
Yeah.
grand. So
You can
this,
see the screen right now. It's the big blue rectangle that I'm kind of highlighting. You can see my little red dot. That's my current position in the world. I mean, the world's freaking massive.
yeah,
Each little square on this map represents like a 16 by 16, I think, parcel, right? Like that's the actual dimension. 16 by 16, what? Do you know? Is it like meters?
16 meters. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so roughly, I mean, it's a pretty good sizable chunk of land. You could do a lot with a single parcel, but
Yeah.
like Will is saying, there's 660 connected single squares in the Ethermon district. So this is going to be the main hub for all kinds of future content like to be deployed. So we have a gameplay roadmap on our Medium page. You guys can go check out to see what's coming ahead. There's going to be dungeons, raise anything. If you've ever played an MMO, that's the main objective, right? Is to replicate that MMO experience, that vibe within the metaverse.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
take a
and
look at that. Take a look at the screen and imagine you're walking around into Decentraland and there's a raid going on, right? Everybody has their Ethermon deployed. We can see each other's Ethermons, whether it's a Chiari or a Mightier, and they all have a varying degrees of rarity, right? Mightier has a max cap at 10. So if you're walking around in Decentraland and you see a guy with a Mightier following him, like that's a pretty badass dude, right?
Oh, one second. Hold on. Let me find my tier.
Yeah,
Get
go
some
look for
context.
Mightier.
All right, here he is. This
Yeah.
is my tier in all his glory.
And-
So we've had conversations whether or not we should juice him up even more.
Oh yeah, he's
Might be
definitely
a
gonna
little
get
too-
juiced.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like this is right now, out of all the new Matic Mons that are being released, this is the rarest one. This is the mythic. There'll only be 10 in existence, right? So yeah, like you're saying, this is the ultimate flexing power like that you could do with an NFT, right? You could traverse a virtual world with your
Yeah.
NFT
Yeah.
by your side. And like that, I mean, you can't do that with a CryptoPunk.
yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I mean, the potential's there. I mean, the CryptoPunks are there, but we'd have to render them and bring them into the metaverse. You know what I mean?
Think about this. So any game content that you see in Decentraland, it has to be rendered in 3D. It has to have the animations. It has to have the gameplay aspect. So there's a ton of stuff under the surface in order to make this game work. And you can't just bring NFTs into Decentraland and just expect them to pop up and be playable. It doesn't work that way. And so there's a ton of people within the Ethermon team building this stuff, and there's a ton of work. Things are going to break sometimes. I mean, think about this. I like to use this analogy a lot with Decentraland. Any game creator or any creator in Decentraland right now, the content in MetaZone, all of it are apps. These are little apps that run on your land, right? You have the Ethermon application running on your land. Sometimes it's called the garden bed, where landowners sell food to other players. And then sometimes it's called the egg nest. So basically everything you see on MetaZone, it's a little application that runs on an operating system called Decentraland. And what's cool about Decentraland is this is a project that's been around since like 2016, 2017, right? Building. And they make updates to the operating system. And anytime you make an update to the operating system, guess what? You have to update the apps on the operating system. And so through MetaZone, we enable the creators to update their apps. And once those apps are updated, anyone who has purchased that meta and deployed on their land, that application is now updated and it continues working even on the new operating system that Decentraland just pushed. So, so having said all that, there's a ton of work and a ton of stuff that is involved to making a game work on Decentraland. And once we have all the Ethermon like available and like rendered in 3D with the animations and gameplay, like you're gonna see this gigantic world potentially Decentraland turn into Ethermon land. And
yeah, because of the meta component, where the game content itself is not restricted just to this district, right? I mean, the majority of it will be here, but there are tons of parcels out there, hundreds of parcels within the world that are spawnable locations for mons. that's kind of the point. Like
Yeah.
an MMO isn't confined to just one part of the world, right? It's a truly open world environment where you could explore and stumble upon some new creature that you couldn't have found otherwise, and then
Right.
you could battle it, you could catch it. Now it's part of your own collection, right? So without the whole meta infrastructure, like, you know, this is kind of like a big problem that the metaverse faces. Like, how do you create these dynamic open world environments when the land itself is owned by individuals,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know, they don't necessarily care about your game. They don't want to deploy content for your game. So
Yeah,
there has to
exactly.
be a system in place in order for them to do that.
That's so true. That's so
we'll
true.
talk more about MetaZone. This isn't a MetaZone video. We need to stay away from MetaZone for now. Just know it exists. If you want to find out more, go to metazone.io. You know, right now it's all about Ethermon because we got a token coming out in about 7-8 days.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So what is the purpose of Emon? Like, why Emon?
So yeah, that's a good question. So we get that a lot, and so Emon is focused on this this currency that allows players to not only upgrade their Ethermon, but also upgrade their gameplay, their content, their ability to progress in the game is going to be largely dependent on the Emon that they earn. And
Yeah.
so Emon plays like a critical role in the gameplay. And there's other layers to the gameplay in Ethermon and Decentraland. The fact that you can, sell food to other players, and players can come and play on your land to battle these slimes, which are not shown here, but you'll find.
They're out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
They're out there.
No, I'm not there, but I'm just saying they're
Okay.
out there. Like, we'll tell you where to go to battle them.
Yeah.
You know,
So as players battle these slime, they collect marks. And marks is an off-chain token to help the in-game economy kind of like just grow in a sense where the marks token is more geared towards in-game playthrough for content, for paying for things that are like generally smaller than, you know, paying for an Ethermon or paying for an upgrade or paying for like a transformation from, you know, your older unevolved Ethermon to a new evolved Ethermon. So there's a lot of stuff that this is essentially just a really deep game that in order to really learn how to play, it's not about reading a guide for the most part. It's about just jumping in, getting your Ethermon, which are free on ethermon.io, and jump into Decentraland and start interacting with things. This is more of like a game of discovery, right? You don't go and read a guide about how to play for this type of game. You just jump in and start playing. And so once you start interacting with things, you start collecting marks, and then those marks can be used to upgrade your items, and your items can be used to eventually upgrade your Ethermon and level up. So it's just a very deep game that allows people to jump in even for free and start progressing in the game. So we have this token generation event coming up on May 18th, and that is largely a token that represents kind of like a new page in Ethermon. So Ethermon's been around since 2017, and since 2017, they've essentially been building, right? And the smart contracts that we're using in 2017, they weren't exactly the standard smart contracts that we expect today. For example, staking and yield farming and all that, that wasn't possible with the old token, the Emont token. Now all that's going to be possible with the Emon token. So, and it largely represents kind of a new era in kind of Ethermon's like playbook, in the sense that they're focused on, you know, just making the game playable in a multi-platform environment. So it's playable in Decentraland, it's playable on the 2D website, and then eventually they're going to come out with a mobile game. So this collective force has a lot of work ahead of them, but we already have like strong elements, strong foundation like being built right now that a lot of people are like taking advantage of right now. For example, someone who purchased an egg nest, they've already generated 10,000 mana, right? And since the launch in last summer. So 10,000 mana, I mean, that's not change anymore. So yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the play to earn stuff is the big highlight though. Like if you've ever had any if you've ever been a gamer, which hopefully most of us have been, you understand the dilemma of like, games are addictive, they're great, they're fun. You want to spend as much time as you want within these worlds that these game developers create. But at the end of the day, it's largely like wasted time allocation in the sense that, well, it's not wasted. It's still like adventure and memory and all that stuff, right? It's great to play these games, but it's wasted in the sense that you as a player, a user, you never get anything in return for the participating in those ecosystems, like the traditional gaming ecosystems. It's usually a top-down model, right? Like the creators, the people at the top, they're the ones largely, taking in all of the game,
the value
components, the value, and keeping it to themselves. Which, I mean, this is the traditional world we're used to, right? But the whole purpose of blockchain is to, give that power back and the governance and the value back to the players who are supporting it, right? Like and that's the world we're building essentially. And like the Emon token is part of that. The NFTs that you're going to find in the world is part of that. The whole crafting system we're going to make where you're finding these off-chain assets, converting them to on-chain assets. And the only way to do that is to play, right?
That's right.
So, play to earn. Like that's probably one of the best phrases out there right now that hasn't got enough coverage in the blockchain space, but it's coming. Like we've been talking about it on our regular channel, how like NFTs, gaming, the metaverse, all these concepts are the next frontier, I think, as far as like what the big narrative for the crypto space is going to be as a whole, because we're kind of moving past DeFi a little bit. Everybody understands DeFi is important. NFTs obviously already boomed. Everyone understands art.
Yeah.
But when it comes to gaming and stuff, it's still yet to be proven like how gaming works in the blockchain ecosystem.
Absolutely.
But we're on our way there. I think Ethermon is making huge strides, so definitely stay tuned for sure.
Like you're saying, the key thing is play to earn. And if you've been in the blockchain space, you do hear that term often, but it's important to realize that there's so many players out there who haven't like even been aware of what's going on in the blockchain space. And play to earn to a gamer is huge because that concept hasn't been possible in the traditional space. And so once people can see something like Ethermon, easily digestible like type of gameplay, right? It's a pet, and then you battle the pet, and then you level up and you move forward.
Yeah,
that gameplay is easy for like the traditional gamer to understand. And once they're able to comprehend what play to earn means, is like potentially earning, as you play, it basically ruins traditional gaming, and I think that's what Ethermon is going to do.
Bold statement.
Yeah, I mean, think back, Iron Man, in your days in WoW. Imagine if you spend all that time actually earning some sort of cryptocurrency or NFT assets.
Like, I know. I think about that often.
You'd already have a Lambo right now, man.
Yeah, I would have been, a tycoon, a World of Warcraft tycoon. Right? Yeah. I dedicated 10, 12 hours a day to that game, for many years. So, and that's kind of the backbone of the gamer's dilemma, right? Like once you get past that addictive phase of your life, you start to look back like, oh man, that's potentially a lot of value lost because I spent it, gaming.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. We're changing it. Like when you game, you are creating value for yourself and for the ecosystem as a whole. Like it's this nice feedback loop where everyone involved is getting some kind of value from it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's the most important part, and that's it for the video for today. If you have any questions, please comment below, and we tend to answer pretty much every single thing that we see on our YouTube channel. And like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, and also at MetaZone.io, and also at Ethermon_NFT. And
if you want to be informed, definitely go to the Medium page for Ethermon. We'll put that in the link in the description.
Yeah,
because there is an IDO on the 18th of May coming up. You can find all the details how to participate in that. Right now, we have whitelisting open at our main site at Ethermon.io. If you want to participate in the community part of it, so there's a couple of ways to do it. You can either be a PokeStarter token holder, or you could be a Mon holder, a Mon NFT holder. So you just need 3 of them.
Yeah.
The step-by-step process how to do that, it's in the Medium articles. So
yeah, it's in the Medium
also
article.
the Telegram.
We made a YouTube video on how to do that as well. So everything's there. We'll be on Telegram. We'll be on Discord. Find us there. Ask us questions. We're always like answering stuff all day. And just stay in touch. And as you know, we're here to play, right? We're here to like earn too, right? So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.